Hi, Corrie Thorne, the spiritual healer, psychic medium, and life coach coming in to do a channel message. This message is a message from the spirit world, the channeled guides who channel through me on a regular basis. It's being recorded on July the 6th, 2020, and this video is for the energy of still being influenced by the full moon. I am not an astrologer. Any messages that I give you through here are not to be taken as personal messages. They are to be taken as a form of entertainment, as it also is not to replace any medical, psychological advice that you have been giving. What's channeling through as I'm preparing my course, my class for tonight for my More Than Existing program that I teach, is the essence of moving beyond the despair, moving beyond the fear of a ever-ending war, an ever-ending war of words. And what this resonates for me, and what comes up is the energy as I felt the need and desire to just kind of step away, step out of watching and listening to some of the biggest influencers in the world step into promoting fear, in promoting fear um, of one person's view to the next. So what the way that this is resonating through to me, so, and sorry that it's kind of coming through slowly, but they're trying to put it into words without contributing to the fuel that's fanning these flames of angers and frustrations. And it's like trying to turn the faithful into angry people to get them to be this change, or to be causing fear in the world to get people to rise up in this like revolution, this movement. It's like we have one, we already have one of that, and one form of this happening right now, which is also not in the sense of the healthy form. And if you were to ever uh, study about in coaching, we learn a lot, and in psychology, you learn a lot about spiral dynamics and those type of things. And it's not my creation. Sorry, not my creation. I didn't create it. I don't teach it per se in a whole program. I am working with it, but how we move into like the identities of like centuries, years, times, and we follow suit through this core value beliefs, and how the core values have changed, and the core values change with each and every generation, each every time, century and age, and just the process of what it's coming through to me. So what I'm getting is that we have a whole kind of push agenda of push. And it's like, so even those who are supposed to be promoting good, healthy energy still have a strong sense of the core value has been instilled within them to be kind of closed off from being open. And it's like the lotus flower moment. We don't open until we accept all, and we become in the wholeness and the oneness of being non-judgmental, or a lot less judgmental. We are human beings. We're going to be. So what I'm picking up and what is resonating through me is that we are spreading a war of words, and a war of values, and a war of core values based on fear. And that we're stepping into a time where we're going to have to take a leap of faith, like taking the quantum leap, a movement into thinking for ourselves, being able to look beyond, to have that kaleidoscopic view of the world in a bigger way. What if? What if I am wrong? What if this is not right? What if I discover history? What if I learn? And because this is coming from channel is old, it is ancient, it is a part of history, and it's a part of a world that was way beyond us and way before us, but also very connected into the new world and into the creation of a new world. Because when spirit returns to when spirit leaves the human essence and returns to spirit, spirit returns to unconditional love, but also returns to an all-knowing, which in human form we do not have. We have the sense of knowing it all, which we tend to be a little bit more in. I have one view and that's what I want to see and that's how I want to live. And that's not the energy as we're moving into beyond. And right now we're in a really strong, almost like a battle energy. It's like everything's at war, at battle. And so what I was listening to was I was listening to some of these great, fantastic, and because I'm open-minded to listening to everything, to gain perspective, to gain knowledge, to gain wisdom, was that I was listening to some of the great world leaders who are the messengers of the messages of the biblical, of God, of Jesus, of that, but infused with fear, infused with this energy of pushing and people towards going after the so-called witchery, or going after the so-called sorcery energy, and clumping everything together as darkness. And we have to go after the darkness, we have to go after the demon, we have to go after this energy. And what arises in me, and I've listened to some amazing pastors and preachers and reverends who take the platform, who don't speak in that kind of fear. They're very open. Their knowledge is very wise. They listen to their divine channels and they speak from a place of love. There's a big difference in speaking from a place of love and speaking from a place of fear. And we're seeing more and more and more of the fear arise instead of diffusing the fear and holding on to the faith and taking a deeper and bigger leap into the faith energy, into the energy of love, and using the commodity that we have of love to be that change. So when I hear them going, it's like, oh, I had, we had to go after this sense of this person who was this witchery and da da da. These are a war of words, and we're using the essence of one title, one name, to clump everything together. And there's nothing wrong with a witch, sorry, but there's nothing wrong with people practicing and being who they need to be, as long as we're not harming and hurting others and a society. And the moment that you become the attack, it's like bringing back in this Salem witch hunt, because we do not understand and we have a fear of what we think we understand or what we think we know, but we've never explored, or we really don't know. Then we go into this energy of allowing the uneducated, in a sense of, and not uneducated in the human world, I mean uneducated in the ancient wisdom of knowing history, of knowing how things happen. And if we start taking people and putting them on crosses again, and I write about this in my More Than Existing book. When it's published, you get to read this. It's like when you have to sit at the feet of people and think, do I want to place somebody on a cross and sacrifice them for my fear of something that I do not know? Do I want to be the one who takes people and stands them on crosses, and I'll be this so-called good person who has made the choice to torture, to try to ruin, to try to destroy, to try to take these people down, thinking and assuming that I am all right, that I know this and I know this to be truth? What do we really know? And when we get to the root of it all, is that we know we know so little when we become closed and shut off. And the more that we rise up and we stop trying to kind of chase our own tail, we keep trying to return to a past in one way or another. Because even if we're fighting for freedom, but we're still using judgment and fear to project us forward, we're not getting forward. Innovative, harmony, togetherness, wholeness, oneness, understanding. Because even if you build a collective of fear and a collective of all coming together in this kind of energy, what you end up having is that you end up kind of eating your own type of thing. You end up attacking your own people, because the moment that somebody doesn't think or feel or sense or questioning you and questioning you on what you're thinking, what you're believing, or what you're saying, then the attacks within start to happen. And then the attack within ourselves start happening. So once we go back to attacking the inward, and in my book, I speak of the so-called enemy through the eyes of my so-called enemy. I could see me, and the so-called enemy becomes the person that is like us, or becomes ourself, or becomes the person that we have been conditioned, told that we need to believe are not good people, that are not great people in our lives. and that these people are human beings just like you and I. And when we talk about equality and we talk about being all one, is that we have to be a little more open-minded. Doesn't mean that we're choosing to take a side that we're not going to believe in once we get wisdom and knowledge, but it's about opening yourself up. We're here to open. We're here to open like the lotus flower moment. The lotus flower moments means we let go of all judgment. Are you ready to let go of all judgment? Are you ready to set yourself free? The past messages that I've been getting have been on Lady Liberty. And the sense of being liberated is that we give people the opportunity to be free without trying to force them into our way of thinking, but knowing that as a good human being, to be a good human being, there is core values that we have that that came with us before we arrived, and it's beyond it's beyond the sense um, of like the instinctual design of that we're here to be fearful, we're here to be afraid. What we're afraid of is what we're sometimes afraid of is the exposure, or we're afraid to be seen, or we're afraid that somebody's going to not follow us. And it's like this sense of belonging that we bring in and we take on. And what I'm getting is that need to bring about a new sense of protection, a new sense of identifying, a new sense of how we bring awareness to the power of our words as we become more and more social media connected, as we have more and more sense of money being made from media about instilling fear and trying to pull and make us kind of be against each other. And it's like when we stop being against each other, when we get out of this war stage that we're in, when we get out of this stage of, because it's a new war, it's not going to battle. Now there's still war in the world, but it's not going to battle that way. But we've had a war start within ourselves to make us question our intuition, our instincts, and we're not here to question those. And if I have to be called a white witch, then I'm happy to be called a white witch, and I'll happily accept being a white witch, because it's that whole not willing to bend to fear, to not lose my natural gifts and ability to be able to think and be a little bit different and to be my authentic self, and to allow that energy to be the truth. And so when you wish for other people, when you're wishing for a world, you have to be very cautious and very aware of what you are wishing for and how bad you want that wish to come through, because your wants and your needs are going to be two very different things. And when you're wanting, so as we're moving forward into July, be very careful of what your wants and your needs are, and that there's this energy that's trying to instill of using false light to start another war, instead of following the truth of light, that the true light is within you, it is inside of you. And understanding that when we trust ourselves, when we know to not to want to destroy somebody else is a true, human instinct. The fact that when fear steps in and we think with this instead of with this, who are we really here to harm? And why do we want to cause harm? Why do we want to take down somebody who doesn't think like us, or somebody who thinks differently than us? Why don't we take that opportunity to learn, to discover? And I always get this is, how can you follow Jesus and Mother Mary and you talk to people, you talk to spirit on the other side? And as if you're channeling any messages from the divine, from the God consciousness, then you are also channeling. And if you're channeling from a place of love and you're passing on messages of love, then you are truly stepping into a place of evolving and being a part of a love movement and a healthy movement, and not a part of a fear movement. Where do you want to sit within your life, and what do you want to instill in your next generations and in our children? And we've had this generation of children coming up, when we had my generation of parents, that are me as a parent, my age, late 40s, early 50s, where we were kind of rebelling against some of the energies. It's like you have the 80s children that became the parents, and before that you had the baby boomers who were breaking free. So we have these generational gaps, and then we have these children. I'm not disciplining my children. I don't want my children to be talked to that way. I don't want anyone to speak to my child as if they're not human, or no one's allowed to talk back to my children. And then we also have the children that we're teaching our kids, like, my view, my view, my view. everything is my view, my view. You need to be against this. You need to be against that. So then the next generations really become infused with this sense of, oh my God, how do I know what's right and what's wrong? But I'm being kind of pushed and pulled into this one view thinking, this one way of thinking. We are here now. This next age, this next time is to break us open, to set us free, to take us into a place of mercy, of saying, I can shed all the fear, I can shed all this old energy, and I can trust my own intuition. I have free will to think for myself. I get to choose. And when we truly want people to learn, when we truly want people to get new perspectives, it is about giving the opportunity to discover, to explore. Why don't you go explore for yourself and then gain your own opinion? Why are we being caught in this constant like tidal wave of energy where we're just like falling in on ourselves, and we keep falling in on ourselves out of a fear of what happens if one falls out? What happens if we just fall out of there? And it's this whole the collective existence is not the energy that we're searching for. It is the coexist together. And there's a big difference in that collective and the coexist. So the protection that we're looking for is the sense of the psychic attacks of words, what comes in our psyche and gets into our head and just makes us fear ourselves. Like, it's like that's our biggest viruses, is those little trigger words that we know that will trigger an insecurity from a childhood or from a life, or wishing for something that's so beyond us. And it's like when we stay in one box, and that whole sense of, when we're stuck in deprivation is the card that came up. So it's like when you're set free from the box, when you're set free from thinking in the box, imagine the freedom that we have with the discipline to be able to go study and learn for ourselves, figure things out, discover history, learn from history. History is the changing factor of our lives. And nature, it's all about nature and about getting out in nature. It's about getting away from the concrete. It's about getting away from concrete energy, false light, false personas of beautiful scenery. That's it. False imagery of scenery that's not real, that's created in the material world instead of the mother world. And so when we return to the mother world, and this is about you now starting to return to the mother world, look at your mothers, look at your family, look at your ancestors, look at what they were doing at that time, look at the source of what they had, look at the wisdom and knowledge they had, look at how they were living, look at everything of their struggles, their way of, their what was ingrained and embedded into them, their core values that was instilled, the fear. They didn't have social media. They lived in a more, one-dimensional, two-dimensional living. And the more that we get stuck in this drive and desire to become this one way of thinking, is that we're actually further away from expanding. We're not expanding. We're actually dying. We're dying off in energy because our lights are going down, and the light is drawing down further and further and further. So those who want to preach and pass on fear are literally trying to pass on, follow me, follow me, follow me, and I'll take you into the light and out of despair. Well, that's not a reality. To come into your light, to move into your light, means you're going to go inward. And you're going to learn, you're going to discover, and you're going to trust, and you're going to ask questions, and you're going to want to know the whys, and you're going to want to know, well, why are you like that? Or why is this? And that everyone is still a human being. Well, that human being that you're so against still has a purpose and a why of why they're here. You might not agree with them once you go learn, discover, but they're not all stupid or dumb. They're not all out to get us. They're not all to become scapegoats. They're not all against the world. It's like, what are we for? What are we fighting for? What is that drive and desire to fight against? So we have this. So we have this over here that we already know people are against. So now let's go after this. If we go after this political views and we get you fearful of that or wanting to shut down from that, well, now let's go after these so-called do-gooders, and let's go after them, and then all is left is me. And so we're going backwards instead of forward, because it was all about the I, the we, the I, the me, and then it's about the we. The I ams is about really moving into the inward view of how big of a world and beautiful world when we coexist together. And so now we're going backwards. We're going from a we way of thinking, and we're moving into this all about me, all about me, all about me, and then all back into the I's. And it's like individualism, like where we kind of need to go a little bit individual, but coexist individually. But it's like we're going backwards into it's all about me, it's all about me, and I'm an individual, and all that matters is what I think and what I want, and what it's like those wants, right? It's like what we're wishing for, and that desire to be more, to have more, to is taking us further from the we. And so when we when we swing it back now and we say, okay, what was your motive? Because manipulation, the motive right now is to manipulate people with fear. And so what was your motive for trying to cause everyone to be fearful of those who think differently than you, or those who may have a different view, or those who are here to be open to learning, or to be just different than you? And what was the fear, and why were you trying to bring everybody over here? And if you think about that, and you allow that to be how you guide yourself, then your life starts to go through transformational change. Sorry, I got the bing because I forgot to turn off my email. And so then we're taking quantum leaps. We're taking leaps of faith. We're moving into a new quantum energy. And as we move into the new quantum energy, we can swing it again. And it's not about swinging boats. It's about swinging us back into having our own mind, to be able to think for ourselves, to be able to coexist together, to be able not be destroying each other, to be destroying each other with words, with actions, with a desire to topple something that has to be a natural part of the process, which is a natural hierarchy that, like in the angelic realm, we have that. And we're not here to take that away. We're here to expand that into our own growth. So it's like, if someone's here telling you, I'm going to lead you from despair, and I'm going to take you to the light, I'm going to do that for you, I'm going to make your life better, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. No. The only person that can give you that is you. Because no matter what happens in the outside world, if your inner world still is running off of false realities, false sense of your truth, of believing that you are not enough and you need someone else to create you, or that you are just, or that your light will only be better if you're led by somebody else who is using everyone else's light to amplify them by causing fear. No, your light is enough. Who you are is enough. And as we get to the end of July, as we move into that next phase, that next energy, I feel like there is some awakening as we passing through like this kaleidoscope of massive colors, like the rainbow colors. It's like that rainbow bridge of listening, that what the guides have been telling us all along. We have this within us. We have this ability within us. We arrive with this ability. It is called your intuition, your instincts. You also had free will. So free will to choose to do the right things, free will to be free, to set ourselves free of the burdens that we're not allowed to explore, we're not allowed to self-discover, and start to say, yes, I am here to drill deeper, and I'm here to question those core values. I'm here to question this collective. I'm here to question. And it is okay to start to question. And that includes questioning yourself. As we move forward into the end, into August, I really invite you to truly know that the protection that we need is around us. It is there. And to be aware of your words, and to be aware of how you judge, and to be letting go of that judgment of choosing to give titles and names to people, and how we want to topple and take people down, to just have this one little system left. We will not run healthy and happy on one system. We will not run we will not run successfully if we have only one system. We need to be able to have choices to choose. And when we have choices to choose, we get to use what is within us, our own system, to create a new systematic way that we live, of being able to say, you know what, I'm open to listening. I'm open to information. And when we have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, we all work together, instead of it having to be this or having to be that. And when we let go of having to be this and having to be that, and that we have a little spice of everything, we'll be well mixed as like an allspice, and we'll be able to create a much better world. I hope this resonates in some way with your heart, and I hope it sits somehow with you to be aware of your words as you move forward into July. Much love. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.